Well, happy Prosperity Monday, everybody. How are you all doing? Trust you're doing well. And up here in the Northern Hemisphere, it is becoming winter. But we love it because it's a part of the change of the seasons. It's that ever repeating cycle that we have going on. Summer, fall, winter, spring. So, anyway, I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying it as I am. What else is going on? Let me see as I get there. Hey, we're good to go. So, expedition members, we were ready to go last night, but yours truly fell asleep. Seriously, I just sat down for a few minutes and it ended up being a couple hours, but hey, we'll pick up on Sunday. But yeah. Hey, I was tired. What can I say? You know, happens. It's life. It it does cause one to think, though, does it not? Why is it? And it's almost, with inanimate objects, life, that it seems like all life has to go to sleep. Plants sleep. We talked about this last week. Animals dream. They have to sleep. They say even the humpback whales, um, they sleep. Why is that? You look at this from like the 60,000 foot level, and you look down and you go, why does the world need to sleep? For us in our physical bodies, um, in fact, there's a series out there where there's this virus that was manufactured in the lab, right? And you go to sleep, you die. And so the story is based upon humans trying to sleep. But the problem is, in reality, in real life, after about 30 hours of no sleep, psychosis starts to set in, and you can die from not having enough sleep, sleep deprivation. It's a torture technique. Drive you crazy. But anyway, just something to think about. Why is that? I mean, if you were creating the perfect thing called life, cheers, everybody. Why would you put the caveat that, well, they're going to have to sleep? Because sleep, it connects us to another realm, another reality. Wow. And as we found out last week, even AI or artificial consciousness, and I think we could apply as we go into this week on robots, they dream. They understand, and it's like weird. Okay, so a machine can dream. Anyway, we got a lot of stuff to cover. Let me just say this right quick. Speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. So this week in America, Thursday's Thanksgiving, so I won't be on, but I'll try to get on Friday. Um, because this is a topic that, wow, we're going to get into it. The advances that is underway. Had a good time with Robert V and Lucky over the weekend on Saturday. Talked about that ever uh keeps on giving topic death because we're all going to do it. We're all going to do the death shuffle. Which brings us into today's discussion. Um, so death is the causality of mortality. And depending on what your perspective is, it can be a curse, it can be a spirit. Um, Either way, we're all going to experience it. But the question is why? Why is it necessary? And with man's ever driving compulsion to be the gods that man thinks it is, it must create. We're very well versed to that as a species. Procreation must take place, or our species doesn't exist. It goes out. But if you look at the fact that we create collectively, then this topic of AI, robotic, synthetic non-humans, that is a real term, is fascinating because mankind has always looked to reverse the curse. If you take that perspective, if you take it from the other perspective that, maybe there was an advanced species of and their geneticists created us. I mean, that has merit. But no matter how you slice it and dice it, they have jacked with us. We don't even live 100 years. The vast majority of people will not. Um, and in this realm, this world that we live in, and how we continue to create problems we are unable to solve, would you really want to live past that? The one woman in, I forget where it was. I think it may have been Russia. I'm not sure. 120 something. And she said that long life was a curse because she says you eventually become lonely. And you realize very quickly how you're attached to a specific time when you come in, and when that time moves on, you're out of time, literally. So we want to create in our image, we want to create everlasting life. All religions give that in a form. There's going to be everlasting life, uh, implying that life is what? Is it artificial? Is it synthetic death? I mean, you got to think about this. If death is the permanency of what existence is, and life is just merely glimpses, then wouldn't life be the antithesis of death? The synthetic ap- ap- application of death? You could even say that life is artificial life because life is not death, and death seems to be much more prolonged, shall we say. And so we go out there to create this, whatever this is. And it's startling to see where artificial consciousness, artificial intelligence is concerned. Um, Wow. Let me just say hello to everyone in the chat room. How are y'all? Saw Ginger there. How do you, Lauren? Missed y'all. I really did. I fell asleep. Woke up about 10:41 and it's like, crap. What do you do? Hey, Ronald, good to see you. Uma, hello, Jargo. Scotty boy, what's up? John Price, Live and Let Die. Do 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 do. Roger Moore. I love that movie. That's a great. The interesting thing about that movie, Live and Let Die, was number one, Paul McCartney and Wings wrote the thing. He said it only took him like 3 minutes to write it. But if you go back and watch it, it is such a snapshot of the 70s. You have the Eldorado Cadillacs and what style. But anyway, thanks for the memories there, John. Appreciate it. Joyce, how you doing, darling? Thank you for the little exchange on the convo. Lost in Space, what's up, Hallie? Good to see you. Carol, hello. Goddess Sabina, Bernadette, how are you, sweetie? Good to see you as well. Vampire Priestess, welcome. Have not seen you before, but welcome. If you have been in there, I love the handle. Great one on there. Nina, how are you, darling? Good to see you as well. Chloe, much love. Love, joy, wellness, massage. Good to see you. Rick, good to see you, brother. How you doing? I'm dying to know. Aren't we all? Nancy, good to see you as well. Robert V, it was a good show, brother. I enjoyed it immensely. Open-minded. Good to see you. And Troy, and I think I get everyone. Bonnie, good to see you as well. Mary Wins. How are you, darling? Much better? on the other side. Sure. Good to have you. Loretta, hello. Grace, good to see you as well, my dear. Joan, good to see you as well. So, hello. All right. So, man's quest. What does man require of God? Well, primarily life. You want to live. And unfortunately, we all have amnesia because we can't remember what it was before we came in here. And so we fear what awaits us there, which it may be nothing more than just where we came from. So we create these things. Man has always been a slave. The curse was that, you got to suffer here. You got to work. You can't be on your ass and be a lazy ass. Can't have that. You got to work. And once you get into the work, you find out that it's not fair. It's not even balanced. One of the parables that always got me in my minister days was the parable of the vineyard owner. And the parable goes of the imaginary Jesus came in and gives this parable about this vineyard owner went out into the public square and hired a certain amount of people for a certain amount of pay. And so they're out there sweating their ass off, right? The sweat of their brows. And then he goes at noon and he gets another group and he pays them the same that he paid the first one. Well, they didn't like that idea because they've been sweating their ass off. And now you bring in this fesh crew, we still got to work, but they get paid exactly what we get paid. And the parable goes to the last person who he brought in at the end of the day and paid him the same amount and so the whole parable to that is, you're a slave. You agree to it. You have a contract, and don't be coming in here and trying to change the system. R. Wayne Steiger's interpretation, loosely. So we we created and invented machines to help our burden. Machines are all around us. If we didn't have machines, this life would really suck. I mean, it's about to be winter up here in the northern hemisphere. Well, if we didn't have the machines that created the habitats and how the machines make our lives much more a life of leisure than what our ancestors were, well, in our boredom, we fantasize about, well, let's live forever because our ancestors wanted to do it. They strive for the same thing. But now, because of either interference, assistance, or some sort of evolution of our species, here we find ourselves in the dawn of a new age. There's a name for these robots now. And here's the thing, robots will bring to humanity immortality. If we can forego the cataclysms and the apocalypse and yada, yada, yada. And if we could steer ourselves through that, robots present to humanity the true God. Boy, I know I had that. Some people just get so pissed when I say that. But, God is relevant. So if you had a robot, a machine that had wetware, not software, not hardware, wetware, that had the ability to embrace chaos and had the ability to restore memory, a robot can live tens of thousands of years. And in fact, if a robot had what we generate naturally, that robot would never die. It would be, in a sense, God, because it could bring to the Homo sapien species the ability to make the genetic jump from these corporeal bodies, these bioflesh bodies, into something now that would be the next evolution of life itself. And with that next evolution, it would bring eventually to all humanity. In fact, we may discover how the process of how a spirit or soul is brought into this realm, and we may, in fact, be able to duplicate that, reverse engineer that in our labs, and then we can instill that into the next version of us, immortal beings. And with the wetware, it is quite interesting because it's an independent thought machine, but yet it's still collective to the hive, as in a sense we all are. So, with that, man only has to transcend the transference of consciousness. And we're well on our way of doing that. The other things that robots do, and they're already here. Um, I was a runner for a long time, couldn't run anymore because of my knees. And eventually, my orthopedic surgeon said, either you stop running or you're going to have a knee replacement. Well, shit, screw that. Known people who have done that and very painful. That's just one aspect. I put a machine in me. It's not natural. It's synthetic. You look at as well what we do today in the military. They've now developed what Tom Cruise showed in what was that? Tomorrow, whatever it was, the exoskeletons. Where now the soldier of the future is going to be and all the wars will be more robotic than they will be humans. The integration of the transhuman is already taking place because you will have soldiers that will be on the field with these exoskeletons. They can run faster, they can lift, they can do a number of different things. That's just one example. You have synthetic appendages. These are all robotics. Our factories are now being taken over by robotics. They don't need humans anymore. Humans are a liability. And so as the philosopher who meets the technologist and the visionary, we begin to contemplate, well, what will this future look like? And how does this future then interact with what we call acceptable aspects of human existence? And that is a spiritual aspect to the corporeal aspect of life. And when we talk about the reality now of synthetic robotic life forms, they can now grow in the lab human skin. They can grow organs now. It's how advanced we're becoming. I read, and we'll be talking about this, then in this synthetic skin that can literally wrap itself around an exoskeleton, and lo and behold, it looks real. You can cut it, and the interesting thing about it, it has the ability to adhere to itself again. I mean, this is huge. The application that they're looking now is particularly for burn victims. This has the ability to supplant the normal aspect of doing skin grafts over this. You can actually grow synthetic skin. All of these things are well underway. And you can sure bet that the rulers of this age, immortality is their single purpose of existence. And once they can achieve that, it's like in the movie with the Emilio Estevez, and Mick Jagger was in there, and who else? Rene Russo. But anyway, Free Jack, you know, And that whole movie was about in the future, we'll be able not to look into the future. There's a lot of paradoxical things, and that's the whole thing with time travel. That's not here or there. But in the movie, they could go back and they could grab a person in that moment that they were about to die and pull them into the future where there would be a future consciousness ready to inhabit that body. And so you have this recycled form of eternal youth. Well, robotics can even do better than that. Since it's all where we want to be remembered in our prime, not necessarily when we were children, not necessarily when we grow old. We love to see ourselves internally as in that youth. Well, robots, your personal robot would be the container of your consciousness, and you can fashion that robot into anything you want. It would eliminate the argument of sexes, of having the biological male female. We become more like our God, androgynous. And think about that. We could interchange the perception of who and what we are because we're going to live forever. Now, the other philosophical debate on that is that, well, if we're going to live forever, then what happens when you stop bringing in new? Well, that may be an issue. I don't know. One thing about it, with a synthetic robotic life form that would hold our consciousness, we would no longer be slaves to this planet. Space travel becomes not only a possibility, but a reality. We will literally be able to take our bodies and our robotic bodies, our synthetic bodies. Amazing, isn't it? So, Claudette, are you feeling bad? Lynn had it as well, my dear. Um, Boy, she was sick there for a couple of days. Woo! I think that's why I was so tired last night. But we just speak healing over you. The 24-hour flu, yeah. It hits you hard and then it goes bam. So much healing. And to everyone else, keep yourself in good health, right? Yeah. Pretty soon we're going to be able to pop that pill with those nanobots and they will get down there. And, think about that. Imagine a hybrid concept that to where our bodies are filled with nanobots. Some already say that they are. But any case, that the nanobots would be basically the ones that would be the gatekeepers. They're going to go to every organ in your body, and they have the ability for anything that is potentially could go wrong. The nanobots are there to repair it. I mean, this is the stuff people are thinking, and it's in the experimental stage. And the thing about Hollywood, if they can think it, then it's already there. You know, Ronald says, can you imagine if your thoughts were put into wetware clone, that your clone would sit beside you on your deathbed, reassuring you not to be scared, saying, I'm here. Yeah. I mean, and again, so you have nanobots that work within these flesh and blood bodies. There may be an expiration in the DNA already. It seems like that is part of the curse. And if we can get down into that level and reverse this, and this is the goal, is to discover within the DNA, the mitochondrial DNA, to find out how did they do it? How did they turn off this longevity switch? How did they turn off this intelligence ability? Because it's been limited. All of us have, it appears to have this override of code that is overriding our natural function. I mean, if you believe in the concept of Adam, the pre-Adamic world, it is said that those people lived tens of thousands of years. So what happened? I'm just reading some of the comments. So I do have a few papers to just to tickle our brains with, because the whole idea of robotics is deep, the deep state, the military industrial complex. This is what it's all about. China is, uh, some could say it's unethical, but I have no doubt the United States and other countries are doing it too. Of melding the transhuman experience of both, the corporeal living aspect of a human being and integrating that into a machine. And not so much an artificial machine as a synthetic machine. And there's a clear difference, as I put in there. From an academic point of view, there's a difference between artificial and synthetic. But this one here is a good question. And I found a number of papers on this whole idea. Can a robot find God? Can a robot find spirituality? Can a robot be enlightened? There are robot programs that are specifically tied to certain um, attributes. I said